everyone. Let me know if I am live from Tbilisi and you have no idea where I am. And up until a couple of hours ago, I had no idea where I would be either. But this is a good place to be at the moment. I will explain, but let me know if you can see everything, if you can hear me as well. Okay. Hi, Joanne. Hi, dear. Oh, actually, I've just been thinking of you. I will explain in a few minutes. Hi, Natalie and Gar. Hi, Christine. Hello, hello, hello. Let me greet everyone. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. You're probably expecting to see some beautiful mansions, some interesting architecture, and it's coming your way, but not just yet. Not just yet. Shabbat Shalom as well. Shabbat Shalom. And clearly this is not really a touristy place. Hi, Sharon. And meow, Gar. Hutach. Is it Hutach? Is it still? Yeah, it should be like good afternoon, right? Am I saying it right? I might be very, very wrong. My Dutch is non-existent. But this is clearly not a touristy area on the one hand, and people are looking at me like, what is this weirdo doing here with a camera? To be honest, I don't feel like 100% convenient. I mean, comfortable, but that's okay. Actually, it's a very useful place to look at if you're planning. Guten Tag. I don't know what I say. I know Goedemorgen, I know Goedendag, but I might be wrong. So just embarrass myself again. That's okay. So, as you know, as you probably have seen on the news, that Tbilisi is now, I would say not 100% quiet because of the protests. And as you know, on my tours, I hardly ever raise any politics, and I don't really want. This is the last thing I want to talk about because I'm fed up. I've had enough of politics in the past couple of years. But I try to find kind of a refuge in some other places. And I originally planned to take you to the area where the protests are, but getting stuck in the downtown after a virtual tour is not really my plan for tonight, because 1 hour after I'm done with this tour, I will be taking you to another virtual tour, which is the Michael's Castle in St. Petersburg. And there's going to be another one in a couple of hours from then. It's Romanov's heritage in the Holy Land. So I'll be taking you to Jerusalem, to one of the most beautiful Orthodox churches I've ever been to, and a very special one, not only for I would say, everyone interested in the Romanovs' heritage and history. Hi Dolly, Shabbat Shalom. But it's also interesting for those who are interested in the history of the British royal family and all the ties and connections. So that's the plan for tonight. So I don't want to get stuck in the downtown. So we are in the left bank of Tbilisi, left bank of the main river, Kura River. And well, I'm going to show you something. This is not beautiful. And you know, my tours are not always about the touristy places and just beautiful architecture. You know, there is different places that I like to show you. So I'm gonna switch the camera. Oh, and for those who haven't done any of my tours before, by the way, my name is Anna, and if you're watching this for the first time, welcome to my channel. I've been doing virtual tours since 2020, and I have traveled enough. I have 2 qualifications. I'm a licensed tour guide to St. Petersburg, I'm a licensed tour guide to Israel, and I am not in either of these countries. I am in Georgia, Tbilisi, as you may have figured out by now. So, welcome to the area of Tbilisi train station. And again, as I said, this is not really the most beautiful train station, to be honest, I've ever seen in my life. And this is okay. Like, not every building has to be beautiful, and I totally understand that. It has to be convenient, and it's quite convenient because, let's say, if you're planning to come to Georgia from Armenia, from Yerevan, hi Cindy, good to see you, or you arrive to Georgia from Kutaisi because it has a small airport and lots of low coaster companies actually use that airport in Kutaisi. Or you traveled from Turkey and you came to Batumi. This is where the border between Georgia and Turkey is, through Batumi, city by the Black Sea. And if you want to come to Tbilisi, this is the exactly area that you may need to know if you're planning to come by train. There are only two platforms, and yeah, I know it's not 100% convenient either, but it's doable, and there are always kind people that will help you. And also, metro station is just here, a little bit over there. So the train station is exactly the name of the subway. Yeah, there are two subway lines in Tbilisi. So just in case, this is the train station. It's maximum 20 minutes drive from, let's say, Main Avenue, Shota Rustaveli Avenue, depending on the traffic, obviously. Take that into account. And why am I saying that the train station building is ugly? Because it used to be a beautiful one. They used to have a beautiful one. The very first one, however, is probably the most beautiful, but definitely wouldn't have been convenient anyway. Nowadays, it was very small. It was finished in 1872. It was open, and it was a triumphal thing, actually. Today, we will be talking a lot about Azerbaijan, about Baku, about oil, about business, and that railroad was constructed exactly to facilitate the transportation of the oil and kerosene but oil mainly, obviously, oil from all the way from Azerbaijan, where oil was found in mid-19th century, all the way to Europe, including Tbilisi. So that's the first train station, and there was a bus, so I had to step a little bit aside. So that's how the first building of the train station looked like. And then it got too small, which I totally understand. And in the Soviet time, there was built kind of a fancy one, a bit reminiscent of the train station in Yerevan, capital of Armenia. And if you watched some of my pre-recorded tours of Yerevan, then you might remember it. This is typical Stalin period architecture, quite monumental, and that kind of impresses you, right? And train station is one of the first buildings you are likely to see when you arrive to a new country. So that's quite of interesting. And that one, at least it's convenient. So some 5 hours on the road, and you are, on train, and you are by the Black Sea. But I'm here not to talk about the station building, but to talk about, as I already said, some oil, some businesses, some architecture, and when there's oil, when there's tobacco, and many other, I would say, very lucrative businesses, there is rich people, there's architecture. And the main avenue that stretches from this train station is the avenue named after Queen, but everyone says King Tamar Mepe. This is Tamar Mepe Avenue, and I'm gonna stop somewhere here to introduce you properly to Tamar. And I know I'm standing by a noisy road, and let me know if you have any issues like hearing what I'm saying. So who is Queen Tamar? I would say very shortly, it's one of the highly revered rulers of Georgia of all times, who ruled in the golden age of Georgian culture. That is the turn of the 12th century. This is the turn of the 13th century. So she ruled from the end of the 12th, early 13th century, and 12th and 13th century are the years of Georgian golden age in culture, politics, all walks of life. And Queen Tamar is now, she's a saint. And in Georgian language, and as a linguist, it's important for me to say that in the Georgian language, they don't really have genders, which is fantastic. And that's why many Georgians are puzzled when they have to learn other languages where they actually have different genders, and it's kind of interesting. Yeah, but that also gives them carte blanche, saying that Queen Tamar actually was a King Tamar, and she was the woman leader, whereas in those medieval dark ages, the world was basically under the males. So she is amazing. And the avenue is quite interesting. Actually, I'm gonna explain, as I'm not a tour guide to Georgia, and since I'm quite new here, I've only been here a little bit less than 1 year. Little less, actually. I'm gonna celebrate 1 year in Georgia in January, very soon. And when I first came here, well, yeah, it's kind of normally the areas next to the rail stations are dodgy, dirty, with lots of beggars or something. And it kind of gave me that impression. But the more I just came here, it changed. And actually, right now, in case you wear eyelenses or glasses, this is the area you may want to come in case something is broken, or you need new glasses, or you need a consultation from the optician. I mean it. This is the optics street. Well, there's a shop there. We'll see more. There. I have no idea how it happened so, but this is the optician street, and that's my favorite, just in case. It works 27 hours a day, apparently. And this is my favorite because this is very, I would say, David Lynch style, you see? So this is really, really my favorite. I like this David Lynch red, black and white color combination. So, and 27 hours a day. Yeah, it says 27. I'm joking, it must be an address. So Queen Tamar, Tamar Mepe Avenue 27. I'm just joking. It just says 27. Maybe it's also because of the sale. Maybe the discount is 27%. I don't know. And Joanne, who's just had her hair done, I think just maybe yesterday even, right? So there's a lovely place you may have wanted to check out. This is a classical barber shop, like really old style. I love it. I absolutely love it. No, it's so atmospheric, and because this is not really a touristy area, even though yesterday, okay, well, congratulations, I really, really like your hairstyle. It's really nice, very stylish. So because this is not a touristy area, it's the vibe of Tbilisi is very much present here, like old Tbilisi, a little bit of Soviet period as well, but again, another optics plus 25. I guess this one works 25 hours a day, or maybe it's Tamar Mepe 25, but this is actually one and the same building. So I have no idea. It says number 27. Maybe it's just the number of a store. So this is one of the mysteries. There's the same issue with the genders in Estonia and the lack of thereof. Yeah, this is quite interesting. Yeah, but I'm here not for the optics. Luckily, I actually have to wear glasses, but I don't. But I actually have to. But okay, when the time comes, I know where to find my glasses. I know it's somewhere here, waiting for me. But I'm here for the old vibe. Since it's not really a touristy area, and this is where locals come to shop at the market. I will show the market from a distance, and this is where locals come to do some groceries or to buy glasses. Benissimo. More glasses? Sure. So they're not really used to seeing tourists with a camera filming here, but trust me, there is quite a lot to film. So it's such a hidden gem, but basically underneath their noses. There you go. So where there is transport, there's always trade, and Tbilisi in general is the trade city. So what I'm looking at, okay, again, I lost count to all those optic stores. I really lost count. But what I see is the old shops, 19th century shops. There, you see? And that's exactly how it used to be. The entire street would be all packed with all sorts of stores. And then when you see these buildings, we so-called tenant buildings or profit houses, right? So the ground floors are all for the businesses, and then the upper floors, people would be living there. And I'm unfortunately, I haven't been able to find lots of information about the street. This is really silly, but this is how things are. For some streets, it's so easy to find information. It's really, I would say, exhaustive information, but when it gets to the streets, I'll be taking you here tonight. I'll be taking you tonight too. Actually, not. Hi, Misha. Good to see you. By the way, starting from next week, Misha is going to be resuming his weekly talks on Russian history, Russian culture. So he's now preparing, I mean, not at the moment, but he's been preparing very interesting talk on the Rurik dynasty. And okay, so they're just these tiny shops. And all of a sudden, you come across these gorgeous buildings over there, and there's more a little bit to the side. And when I first saw this building, I couldn't really believe my eyes, because again, I thought this is just the area of, just like the one you really want to shop quickly and then just disappear, want to go to the downtown, explore the Solalaki neighborhood or German village or something. Well, actually, it's not that simple. I'm going to show you the old postcard that I have been able to find from my other phone. Let me just give me a second to find it. Okay. So not only small shops, but also very big businesses that you are familiar with also had their property here. You all know the Zinger sewing machine factory, right? So they had their office and shop here in this building. And what is really lovely, what's written here, luckily it is signed that, so this is the shop of the Zinger sewing machine factory, and it's also there's also the territory of a tobacco factory, which I will show you in a minute. So as you see, the building has been restored. Looks like it's not really open yet, so maybe they're doing some works inside, which is quite likely. The building has clearly lost a little of its decor, like the exterior decoration, but it's the one. It's clearly the one. And I'm on this side of the road because had I been over there, you wouldn't have been able to see anything, or you would have been able to see very little. And if I move a little bit, there is something else. Have a look. I'm gonna zoom in as well. So you're just happy going home with another pair of glasses, maybe a couple more pair of glasses, because you don't really which one to choose and you buy all of them. And then you see this absolutely stunning Art Nouveau house. I'm gonna I'm going to be filming it from different sides, but because Art Nouveau you have to see from all the sides, because, well, Art Nouveau is one of the ideas of Art Nouveau to be beautiful inside out, whereas most buildings, well, that we see here in general would normally have only the facades to kind of sell well, because we judge the book by its cover anyway. But the Art Nouveau, the idea was to bring the beauty, of the nature in the age of industrial revolution, in every field of your life, which means that even the buildings would be beautiful, not from just the main facade, but also from the backyard. And if I come here, so I'm passing by a couple more optic stores. Let me know how you find this building. And it's not mentioned in any of the travel books. It's not in the guidebooks. And I believe it's a gem that I have discovered. And I'm happy to share it with you. So this building in particular, and this very long one, less ornate, less fancy one. Actually, these were the buildings I promised some stories of big businesses. So next to the Zinga sewing machine factory, there was the tobacco factory on Fiat-Jans, on Fiat-Jans. Fiat-Jans is the last name. It's the Armenian last name. There were several families in Tbilisi that owned tobacco factories and supplied tobacco all across the Russian Empire. And this building used to belong to an Armenian family. I hope I pronounced the name right, and if not, I'm very sorry. I just in general I have I'm just born having some issues with my eyesight, but other than that, no, my eyesight haven't gotten worse. It's just nothing, I would say nothing too drastic. And I think it's just absolutely amazing, because it's not only just one tobacco factory, but two tobacco factories used to be located in one and the same area, just because it's quite convenient to be next to the train station. And today we will be talking, as I said, we'll be talking about businesses, and also we'll be talking about Armenians, because they owned an incredibly big share of all actually businesses in the 19th century Georgia. And if you missed my live walks and also pre-recorded tours of Armenia, which I visited in early October this year, they are available for my sponsors. And if it's just a couple of tours that you would like to check out, you can always contact me and I will send you the links, because as you know, I keep my tours in open access for about 1 week or so, and then the access is closed. Again, well, yeah, this is not probably this a very beautiful area, but again, as I said, there are lots of stories here, and we, my audience, you are very well educated and well traveled and have seen a lot, and you know how to appreciate what's left from the past. And I'm not going to cross the street today. Oh, Original 6, thank you so much for joining. I love Tbilisi, and I love Tbilisi, not only the touristy one or the glossy one or just the old city, but I also like to explore, and I have always been this type of a guy who likes to take audience to off-beaten spots, and that's clearly one of them. So it's definitely the area where, I would say most of the tourists probably would be once or twice, but not something where you would probably want to explore. But I find even this building quite shabby one, but just, because nobody's really taking care of it, because it's not even a touristy area. Like, why bother and restoring it? Why replastering it. Like, I don't really see the point as well. Just probably just like the city itself. So that building is probably never going to be restored, revamped. But I find it beautiful, even this one. By the way, this area is quite interesting because this is a market now. The name of the market is interesting, Deserters Market. And Deserters Market, however, is mentioned in the guidebooks because this is the area where you can find lots of vintage stuff and all like second-hand stuff. And this is also where locals shop. Most locals know that buying clothes right now in the stores, like big brands, it's too costly. And like, why? Since, well, if you can buy some really high quality high quality clothing from Europe, and this is where you would do that. So lots of stocks, lots of vintage stuff you can find behind this building. So here is a question: would you like to join me on a tour where I take you to all those vintage stalls? We walk around this market with an interesting name, because Deserters Market is called so because of the history that happened here. So when the revolution in the Russian Empire happened, lots of people had to flee. And just the immigrants, they just had to flee, right? And they couldn't carry with them their riches, even if they had any. And when people were very low on cash, they would just sell whatever they had with them. And they would come here and sell whatever they had just to provide for themselves or for their families. Okay, good to know. So this is going to be a Deserters Market tour, and it's not going to be beautiful. It's going to be very, very Georgian, very special vibe, and not touristy at all. So we're going to do that. Not an issue. Definitely not an issue. That sounds altogether too awful to contemplate you. Oh, okay. So, but we move on, and we're going to be looking for some beauty and some more stories. So I was talking about Armenians. So because of the issues with the Ottomans throughout the, let's say, 17th, 18th, 19th century, many Armenians had to flee, and many would eventually find home in Georgia, and mainly Tbilisi. And this is how historically the Armenians just monopolized. And when I say monopolize, I'm not saying that they just deliberately took over all the businesses from the Georgians when they came. No, it just happened like this. Yeah, Joanne, exactly. I believe that just the vintage stores in Georgia in general, they need a separate tour. It's interesting how they thrive here, and what kind of interesting concepts, and it's got a big part of culture nowadays, modern culture. So I really like the way it is here. And this is just like historically it happened so that Armenians just happened to be in the trade, and normally we are used to saying that it would be mostly the Jews in trade, but actually here is different. It's mostly big businesses were in the hands of Armenian families. By the way, after the Christmas holidays, I am planning to run a couple of tours on the Jewish heritage in Georgia, so you will be able to find out like what kind of businesses the Jews would be into, what kind of, how their life was here in Georgia. Actually, very different from everywhere else in Europe. So I can't wait to invite you on those tours. But first, we're going to be doing those Christmas tours and Christmas markets, because it's coming your way very soon. Anyway, so I'm going to be switching the camera, and now I am passing by the pink building, which I'm not allowed to film actually. So that's why I'm filming it from a distance. And this is the house I Haven't been able to find much information, but this is one of the houses. Oh, well, that's diplomatic mission is in this house, so that's why they're not allowing to film it. But it's a beautiful mansion because I mean, just have a look. Just have a look. It's lovely, eclectic. Definitely built, definitely 19th century, and it looks like mid 19th century or early second half of the 19th century. And why, amidst all this trade, shops, train station, all of a sudden you would find a beautiful house here? Because for many business owners, it was logical to live next to their production sites. So hence, you can find lots of gems in this kind of priorly very industrial neighborhoods. Then I want to show you something else. Okay, so as I said, this is not a very conventional tour of mine. And as I said, don't expect to see only beautiful buildings. So I'm going to show you something else. Ta-da! Ta-da! I know, it looks horrible, but it's gonna look better from the other side. I mentioned one tobacco factory that belonged to an Armenian family. So, there was another one family, which you may remember from my tour in Sololaki, beautiful 19th century Sololaki neighborhood. And now I'm going to try to cross from here. So there was another tobacco factory here that belonged to Ceylanov brothers. And you may remember Ceylanov brothers. Like, people are looking at me like, what is she doing? What is she possibly filming here? Right? Why is she not in the old city? Why is she not in Sololaki? Well, when politics get in the way, you're kind of trying to play it by ear. I want to show you just a couple of things. Give me a minute. So you may remember the Ceylanov brothers' beautiful mansion in the 19th century neighborhood in Sololaki. Well, but they lived there, and this is where they would produce their cigarettes. This is the gigantic building, and it was just for the industry. It's just for the industry, nothing more. However, look at these beautiful doors. There is no need to make them so beautiful, yet that's the charm of the early 20th century architecture. Yeah, unfortunately, there is this graffitis here, and most graffitis that you find in Georgia are very far from, being called street art. But it is what it is. So, and I'm pretty sure that in even 10 years from now, this building will be repurposed into some creative space, maybe a co-working or some recreational area or a business center. That's because that's what's happening all over the world, all over Europe, with the industrial areas that just happen to be located in the areas that have become kind of more central ones, because cities grow. And buildings cannot move that easily. Okay. And right now, after we've seen all this industrial craziness, and we've been talking about the trade, so let's find something more beautiful than that. Well, by the way, This is the back side of the Ceylana Brothers factory, tobacco factory. And if I zoom it in a little bit, you will see the inscription over there. It says KPSS, however, it actually says Slava KPSS, which is the Soviet slogan. Obviously, in the Soviet times, all the businesses that used to belong to, well, all the aristocracy and merchants would be nationalized and would become the people's property. And that's what's left of the Soviet past. So Slava KPSS, KPSS kind of Komsomol organization, and hail to the KPSS. Well, it's just a fun thing. Now, when I'm here, there is another interesting blast from the past, from my trip to Armenia. Look at this building. I know that there are some trees here, so probably it's not the best angle, but this is the building. This is the one of the headquarters of Georgian Railways, and this building, definitely constructed in the Soviet times, looks very much Soviet Empire style. Is clad with stone. A tufo, the one that you may remember from Armenia. So in Armenia, at least in Yerevan. Hi Robert and Shabbat Shalom. Good to see you, Bob, Robert. Nearly every building in the downtown of Armenia that was constructed in the Soviet times, and even in the post-Soviet period, would be, you remember that, you remember the slogans. Oh yeah, so this is one of them. Yes, so just because the railroad is here, the main station is here, there is the headquarters just around the corner from here. And since I'm not allowed to film the building related to, well, to film this building, because there is a diplomatic mission here, I don't even want to refer to it, so I cannot film it. So that's why I'll be passing by and just be filming myself. That's it. So, but it's interesting because half of the building belongs to the diplomatic mission. It's related to actually the NATO, but half is not. And here you can film, but there you cannot. Anyway, that's how it works. So I'm gonna be filming myself, and I would like to take you to a beautiful street, the abode of peace and quiet, the abode of beautiful architecture amidst this chaos of the train station. And this is the street I discovered by chance. The thing is, there is not a single really line of information. You know, I like to find like interesting stories. I like to find, you know, some characters to talk about, or maybe even anecdotes or even legends. I actually don't like legends much, but they also give you kind of understanding of, you know, of the area, of how things used to be or how things are, right? So not really much information about the street, but I'm in love with it. This is probably one of my most favorite streets in Tbilisi, and I like it also because of all these mysteries. So I'm gonna switch the camera now, since I've already passed the building, this one, the pink one. So the guards, when I tried to film it and take a photograph, they asked me to delete everything, and I didn't. So I'm gonna switch the camera, and well, again, I am a minute away from the train station, from the noise, and wow, I'm gonna be missing all those optic stores. And the name of the street is Baku. So welcome to a little piece of Azerbaijan in Tbilisi. quite dark, not really much to see. And unlike in other parts of Tbilisi, the lobbies are mostly open. It is quiet, I know, it is quiet. And it is a very special place to be in. It's like I've kind of transgressed to the 19th century, and almost all the buildings here haven't been restored. And well, okay, probably the cars kind of really well remind you of the present, that you are actually in the 21st century. But other than that, it's charming. Why is the street called Baku Street? Well, first of all, because of the lots of Azerbaijan heritage in general in Georgia. And again, so the train station is just here. The train station, the railroad was built in the second half of the 19th century, all the way from Azerbaijan through Georgia to supply oil to Europe. And when I say oil, at that time, so mid 19th century, it was not yet just for the sake of oil and petrol. That was mostly to produce kerosene, which would be the fuel number one back then, because the lamp, before electricity was invented, everyone would be using kerosene lamps, right? So I would say that 75% of all the kerosene supplied to Europe was actually from Azerbaijan. That's why, for the construction of the railroad, such families as Rothschild and Rockefellers invested squillions of monies. And also the Noble family, whom I mentioned a lot in connection with Batumi, they also contribute to the construction of the railroad, because it was impossible to build a pipeline all the way from Azerbaijan, but they built their oil refineries in Batumi, and they needed a railroad for that as well. And the Baku Street is, well, I would say it's a way to respect the connection and the heritage, because many of the, I would say, the richest families in Georgia, who also, many of them were Armenians, but not all of them, not exclusively. Actually, they made their fortunes thanks to their involvement in kerosene, oil, logistics, or they invested in the construction of the railroad. And again, I'm just in love with the street. So you see, it's still like only 2-floor buildings. Yeah, I know that the plaster is chipping off, and it looks a bit shabby, run down, and a couple of buildings are actually empty. They must have been already, well, they look condemned, and I don't really know. It really breaks my heart to think that these buildings are gonna be destroyed or taken down. I hope that not. And the lovely thing about this street, that it has been intact. It's been almost intact, which is a very rare thing, a very rare thing. And also, unlike some, posh areas, here, yeah, sure, you can, the lobbies are open, and you can still see the old tiles. Well, the lobbies wouldn't be quite ornate. Oops. Come coba. Sorry, my gimbal got just acting up a little bit. And people live here. People live in these buildings, and I'm sure they can tell so many stories. Like over here, look at these wooden steps. They're the original steps. So as you see, this lady didn't really expect to see me here, because normally tourists don't come here. This is the area where the just, locals live. It's peaceful, but it's probably, potentially, a very lucrative area to own a property. But again, right now, that's probably gonna get you broke to take care of this building. Let me know if you have any questions, and don't worry, there's gonna be some more beauty coming your way. And as you know, I like to drop by places that I discover and take you with me. Actually, we are now very close to one of the main avenues that has just recently been revamped, and this is the area you may remember. I did quite a lot of tours here back in summer. You see, it's getting darker and there are not even really much lights. So I hope you enjoyed this very short street with interesting connections. So it's important to know the street names. It's important to understand why a street is named in this or that way. And it's to me, it's only logical to see the street named after Azerbaijan, very close to the railroad, because of which it had been constructed. And as you know, I am a big fan of Georgian courtyards, a big fan of the backyards in general. And we're going to very quickly drop by the backyard of one of the houses here. This one. We are at such a quaint street. Oh, thank you, Sharon. Thank you. I'm happy you enjoyed it. Again, as I said, this is originally the plan was to take you to another area, but I had to play it by ear, and I hate to cancel my tours. So luckily, Tbilisi is full of surprises, and after almost a year living here, every day still I come across curious things. So we are in the courtyard, Georgian courtyard, and no matter how European a facade looks, you know that the backyard would always be very Georgian, with a balcony, with a wooden balcony, and that's the case. But the building itself is quite European because it was built by a German architect, Otto Stern. We are in the area that used to be called New Tiflis. I would like to remind you that this is the old 19th century name of the city of Tbilisi. Yeah, Joanne, I know these balconies are special indeed. I know. And this is the famous David Agmashenebeli Avenue. And well, yeah, now I guess you can understand where we are. A beautiful, quite posh, with lots of fancy stores, hotels. So this is the touristy area, right? So why would you bother walking down just the Tamar Mepe Avenue if there is the avenue like that? So why would you even bother to explore it? But there is so much to explore, as you must have already noticed. And right now I'm going to do the following. I would like to cross the street to show you this building, and also to announce something curious. So I'm gonna need to cross here. There's a lovely, very small garden. Actually, this garden, I call it a garden with a mushroom. I don't know the original name, though. There must be a name to this small kind of a park, maybe. Let me also film it from here. It used to be part of that house. It used to be the garden of that small red brick house that I just showed you the backyard of. Very small courtyard. Okay, well, that used to be a very big one, and there wasn't this cafe back then. But so this house, which I will, with the facade of which I will show you in a couple of minutes. But this building used to have a very big garden. Many buildings here, which belonged to rich businessmen, were constructed by European architects that were the descendants of the first German settlers that came to Georgia in mid-19th century. So this is the area that belonged to the so-called German colony. That's why it looks very European. I did very detailed tours on the German colony, I think about 5 or 6 altogether. Right now, the avenue is called David Agmashenebeli Avenue, and on this building, that's why I am here, there is a kind of a mosaic portrait of King David the Builder, David IV. However, it's not exactly the builder. It's, if you dig deep into the etymology, you know I don't speak Georgian, but no, you can still understand, you can still kind of look into the etymology of some words. So Agmashenebeli is not really a builder, it's like a collector. So David Agmashenebeli is the king that managed to unite many smaller countries, smaller states into one much more powerful state. And he managed to also defeat the huge army of the Seljuks, which I would say the Turkic tribe, the Turkic army, the predecessors of the Ottoman Empire, and he managed to return Christianity. As you know, Georgia is an Orthodox Christian country. He managed to return Christianity to Georgia, at least for a few centuries. And actually, after that, after David Agmashenebeli victory over the Seljuks, the golden age of Georgian culture started and lasted for 2 centuries. Anyway, I'm going to cross to the other side of the street. By the way, so this is the Tamar Mepe Avenue. We were just over there, a little bit further. There is still something to explore. It's quite an interesting avenue. Again, it's a very off-beaten area. I mean, for tourists, so normally everyone's going to be walking down the Agmashenebeli Avenue, which I totally understand, but there is so much more to explore around it. And in about a couple minutes from now, I'm going to announce what I'm going to be showing you tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be even more Art Nouveau, even more eclecticism, and curious spots to discover just around the corner. Just around the corner. I'm going to switch the camera now. And so the house, the one that I've just been talking about, this red brick one, I believe it was the best decision ever to not to give any plastic decoration to the brick house, because normally these 19th century buildings, plastered one, they look so shabby because, well, you know, you need to take care of the plaster because of the humidity, rains, everything. Also the exhaust from the cars. Yeah, obviously you need to renew it, the plaster, from time to time. But when it's just bricks, you actually don't. So this house used to belong to one of the, again, rich family. This time Germans, because I remind you, we are in the so-called former German colony, New Tiflis. It used to belong to a Mother family. So they were the the German settlers. And Georgia is the land of wine. It's the cradle of winemaking. And if you missed my tour in the wine museum, which I did a couple of weeks ago, I'm highly recommending to see this tour because of some of the absolutely staggering findings made on the territory of Georgia. So the mothers, however, decided to push the beer industry. Actually, they were the pioneers of beer industry in Georgia. For a long time, they really couldn't really put up the fight. And the competition was clearly not in favor of beer, but they persisted, so the persistence is the key. And little by little, Georgians and also the German settlers who kind of were homesick and were more into beer rather than wine, they got to like the porter beer. And little by little, the mother's family business skyrocketed, and they invested in the construction of hotels, spa centers, and they even had how shall I put it, the swimming pool in one of their hotels. So over here, for example, I found it's in Russian, but this is from a newspaper. Wait a second. It doesn't want to go. Okay, I'm gonna show it like this. This is an advertisement in the newspaper. So the beer factory by Otto Mader, they are offering a very special kind of beer to commemorate the 300th anniversary of the Romanov industry. So they are black, kind of black dark beer, and you can find lots of information on their hotels. So, and this street, this avenue is full of the hotels, and most of them belong to Germans or were built by Germans. But also, just as I would say, as a little cherry on top, I'm going to share with you something that you're probably likely to just, miss. Because again, you're on the main avenue and then you're drawn to the lights of the cafes, shops. But over there's not even lights. Not even lights. There is a tiny, tiny church. It's a modern church constructed in the 20th century, so typical Georgian Orthodox church with the typical dome. But the church is consecrated to a saint, I would say a rather new saint to the Georgian church. It's consecrated to the name of Eftime Takaishvili. And as you can see, member of Constituent Embassy of Georgia, in office 1919-1921. For those of you who are familiar with the history of Georgia or have done some tours with me, then you may remember that these are the years, for the 3 years after the revolution in the Russian Empire, which Georgia used to be part of, forced to be part of. Georgia managed to win independence and managed to establish the Georgian Republic, Democratic Republic. In 3 years, it would be over because the Bolsheviks would invade, and you know the story. Georgia would be forced to become part of the Soviet Empire then. But Takashvili, who is a saint now, as I said, he was the archaeologist. He started in St. Petersburg. He was the historian, archaeologist, and he taught at Georgian University. He was a professor of History, Georgian University. He participated in numerous excavations around Georgia. And when the Bolsheviks came, the government of the First Georgian Republic had to flee to France. And Takashvili was appointed the guardian of, you wouldn't believe it, like 39 boxes of heritage, of the manuscripts, National Treasury manuscripts, centuries-old manuscripts, the golden findings, all discovered in excavations. He was in charge of some jewelry. He was in charge of the manuscripts of the Knight in the Leopard Skin by Shota Rustaveli, the most important literature work for all Georgians ever, written by Shota Rustaveli. And many more. There were 39 boxes that he had to guard, that he was responsible for. And even in the most difficult years, in the 1920s and 1930s in immigration, when Paris was occupied by the Nazis also later on, he didn't sell any single piece. He was dying from hunger. His wife was dying and she died, but she didn't sell any of that. He was offered loads of money just to sell 1% of the collection. He did not. And then later on, he returned to the Soviet Union, to Georgia, and the National Treasury is back to Georgia, and you can see it. You can see all of those contents of the 39 boxes he was in charge of. All the heritage is back. And a year later, he was suspected of espionage because he lived for so long in Europe, and he was put under home arrest, and till the end of his days, so he would be under the home arrest. So the Soviets were merciless. So hence, for all this martyrdom, for all that courage, bravery, and loyalty, he is now a saint of the Georgian Church. So, and I promised some announcements. So tomorrow we're going to be exploring the courtyards of the Agmashenebeli Avenue, the beautiful Art Nouveau-ish neighborhood. We started today a little bit, and now you know that it's not all that nice and glossy, but there is a lot to show. And I'm going to be taking you to some really unexpected places. And there's going to be one place which I'm super excited about. And also we'll drop by some cafes, hopefully. So it's going to be a lot more architecture tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm starting 30 minutes later than today. Hopefully there's not going to be protests. Again, the original plan was quite different for this tour, but because of the protests I had to play it by ear. So I've taken you here, and hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to continue. We'll start from here, and I'll take you to the first surprise spot, actually just behind these buildings. Very interesting blast from the mid-19th century. Thank you so much, Dolly. So I have to actually rush now, because in 57 minutes from now I'm doing my next tour on the Michael's Castle in St. Petersburg, and there's going to be another tour in Jerusalem. We are heading to Mary Magdalene Church. Again, we're exploring Romanov heritage this time. Tomorrow, however, I'm premiering my first episode of the series of tours in Jerusalem on the Ministry of Jesus. And tomorrow we are exploring the Mount of Olives, we're exploring the Dominus Flevit Church, and we'll be talking about why Jesus wept when he entered Jerusalem. So, when he was just about to enter Jerusalem. Also tomorrow, there's going to be a tour of Old Jaffa, Tel Aviv. See you later. Yes. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. So there are 2 Jerusalem tours, one today there and one tomorrow, just different subjects, but the same city. And I will see you shortly. With the World Virtual Tours, is going to be tours in a week from now. So I was asked by someone, actually got a couple of messages about when the Catherine Palace tours start. So next weekend, I'm going to start my series of tours on Catherine Palace and the Amber Room with World Virtual Tours. AnnaGuide.com is my website where you can find my complete schedule. As you know, all my tours are free to join, but I would appreciate your support, your tips. And there is a pinned comment here on the chat where you can find links to my website and also to my PayPal, or you can simply buy me a coffee. The links are there. Thank you so much for your support. I hope you found this tour interesting. And well, this is quite a different view of the city that you have seen so much of. And I will see you shortly in St. Petersburg to explore Michael's Castle. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you tomorrow as well on the same spot to continue the exploration of some Art Nouveau and eclectic buildings. Thank you, Gregory. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Bye-bye.